Hello. This is almost the last one for you. I hope it hasn't been too bad. This chapters 35 and 36. We're continuing Division 5 cultural context. As you know, the culture is my favorite topic, so I've enjoyed these more than anything else. So I hope you have too. Chapter 35 Face Negotiation Theory. Have you ever been in a situation where you just wanted to save your reputation, honor, or wanted to end it something because the other person just kept looking more and more wrong or foolish? Well, if that's the case, then you understand the basics of face negotiation theory. So, face is the self image that you have and you want other people to see. This is how I think that people should see me. Face work is verbal and nonverbal messages used to restore, maintain face, or uphold face gain. So when we're working with somebody else, and sometimes we want to keep that reputation that we've gained. So individualistic culture, we've talked about that a couple of times. It's the I identity. They're worried about their immediate family and their low context in their communication stuff. The collectivistic culture is the larger community, the group, and it's high context. And although the textbook talks about like the U.S. is low context, we're individualistic, and Asia is high context. They are collectivistic. You have to understand that there are subgroups. Like when I was a soldier in the army, we very much did a lot of our communication was high context. When somebody said something, you knew what they meant because of everything that we went through together, and we cared about each other. We had, for lack of a better word, each other's back. We looked at what how will this reflect on the army. So there are collectivistic cultures inside of it, the individualistic culture of the United States. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that it's not cut and dried like most textbooks try to make it out to be, because the world's a big confusing place. Face concern. Okay, there's three types of face. There's self face, there's other face, and there's mutual face. Sometimes when you have something going on, you're worried about you, how I look. Other times you're worried about how we look. I don't want you to look bad if I'm having an argument with you and I care about you. And so I'm worried about your face as well. So mutual face. And then other faces where I'm worried about your face and not mine. It's not too difficult. Face restoration is self-concerned strategy to preserve autonomy and defend against loss of personal freedom. So when you're face concerned, you want to make sure that I keep what I have, and I'm not losing my autonomy. I'm not becoming Amanda's father. I'm still Vern. Okay. Avoiding is withdrawing from a conflict. There's another class that I have as conflict resolution here at CSU, and I teach it as well. And basically, avoiding is when the conflict starts and you go, never mind, it's, yeah, whatever. You I'm not going to argue about it. You do it. You're avoiding. Obliging is okay. Yeah, let's do that. Giving in. So they're kind of sound the same, but avoiding is I'm going to avoid the argument altogether. Nope. Whatever. You do it. Obliging is yeah, let's do that. And you may not want to do that, but you may do it anyway. Dominating is when I'm going to win and you're going to lose, and that's all there is to it. Win lose. Integrating is open discussion collaborating and win-win. We have 535 senators and congressmen, and I wish they would learn this one right here. I really do. Because one can't win all the time. You have to work together, especially to make something happen, for everybody to win. Self-construal is your autonomous self-image. It's how you look, not attached to a father or son, a family or something. It's the autonomous self-image of you. And mindfulness is understanding that things are different from different perspectives. Now, a couple of chapters ago, we talked about standpoint, where everybody has, their own perception, da, da, da. And mindfulness is when you think, okay, I think it's this way, but you're upset with me for some odd reason. This helps a lot in interpersonal relationships as well. It's like, okay, what did I do wrong? I don't understand. One of the hardest things the biggest problems my wife and I had when we got married was I didn't care how the toilet paper went on the roll, but she did. So if I put it on there wrong, uh, I caught hell for it. And for the longest time, I couldn't understand. I replaced the toilet paper. It's on the roll. It's not like I left it empty, but she had, when she wants to reach, grab it and pull straight down and not try to find the end. And so, to me, it wasn't a problem, but to her, it was a big problem. So mindfulness is understanding things are different from different perspectives and seeking their standpoint, seeking their perspective to try to understand why it matters to them. Now, I was never really successful in figuring out why it mattered to her, but it matters a whole bunch. So I do it her way. Chapter 36 is co-cultural theory. Now, we talked a lot about cultures, and different countries have cultures, and different organizations have cultures. But the co-cultural theory looks more at cultures inside a dominant culture. So it's a culture within a culture. So, and if you look at the university, the people that are in athletics, they're their own little clique, so to speak. They're all part of CSU, and we share a lot of cultural things, but they have their own culture in that. The arts department has its own culture. The science department has its own culture. So that's a very minor understanding of it. What Orb tried to bring out is that in the dominant culture, which in the United States is white, well-off men, they set the rules, as we talked about in Cat and other theories. They set the rules. This is how we do things. We're the people in charge. The co-culture is a marginalized group located within that. So the book talks about the United States. So the dominant white male affluent is the dominant, and the co-cultures are the African American community, male or female, the LGBTQ, the people with disabilities. Women are a co-culture, and aged, and children, and all kinds of other stuff, So the co-culture is a marginalized group located within the dominant culture. Co-culture communication is simply intercultural communication within the dominant culture, or between the dominant culture and the co-culture group. So you have a co-culture group inside the dominant culture, and as we said other times, the co-culture group has to understand the rules of the dominant culture plus the rules of their culture. And so co-culture communication is when there's a communication across those two cultural groups. Communication orientation. Where are you coming from? Now, communication orientation basically talks about it's a combination of your desired outcome and the approach you've chosen. Now think about this in your everyday life. You know, if you see a person that you're attracted to and you're interested in that person, so your desired outcome is maybe to get a date with that person. And then how are you going to approach it? Are you going to walk up and say, "Hey, stupid, come with me, we're going"? No, that's the wrong approach. You're going to have a different approach. So, what do you want to get out of this? What's your desired outcome? And which approach are you going to use? Now, sometimes being, aggressive or assertive, we'll talk about those in a minute, are great for different situations. So, what approach are you going to use? So, aggressive approach is excessive, expressive, self promoting, and sometimes hurtful. I'm going to do it this way, whether you like it or not. That's your idea is stupid. No, we're doing it my way. Assertive is self enhancing while taking others' positions into account. Yeah, this is the way I want to do it. This is why I want to do it. I understand that you think this would be best, but these are the reasons I think this would be best. And assimilation, fitting into the dominant culture and shedding the co-cultural group, quote, norms. And as much as people try to assimilate, I have found personally that it's impossible. I cannot forget everything I learned as a soldier to be a civilian. I can't do it. I can't forget everything I learned as a sighted person now that I'm blind. And now that I'm visually impaired blind and I want to reassimilate into the sighted community, I can't do that. So assimilation, basically, you're going to fit in, you're trying to fit in changing everything about yourself to lose the old you to be the new you. Accommodation, changing the dominant rules using the marginalized perspective. So in the disabled field, we talk about accommodations all the time. When I have students that get a letter from the disability office, I have to make accommodations for them. They get a little bit longer to take a test, or they have to take a test in a quiet area. And as far as my disability accommodations for me, I have a computer that talks to me. I download books and listen to them because I can't read them. But the thing about accommodations, a lot of them are accepted by the mainstream. I mean, think about the last time you walked up to a store and the doors opened. They were put in there to accommodate people that can't walk well. Maybe people in wheelchairs, or a lady with a stroller, or a husband with a stroller, or somebody carrying packages. And now everybody uses them because it's great, you know. So that's what accommodations are. Separation is when you maintain your distinct co-cultural identity. I don't want to assimilate. I don't want to be part of the XYZ community. I want to be separate. I want to be myself, whether they like it or not. And phenomenology, that was a word I didn't know a lot about until I did my dissertation, because I did a phenomenological study. And that's technically, it's qualitative research based on the lived experiences of a group. I interviewed 13 couples, and I had some rough out questions to ask, but more than anything else, it was, tell me about your life since you went blind. Tell me about your life since your spouse went blind. How have you had to change? How have you accommodated the other person? And listening to their stories. And then from listening to their stories, I drew out the high points that sounded the same in each of the stories to develop my perspective of what my dissertation should read. So that my class is a short video, but it was 2 chapters and there wasn't a whole lot in them. And a lot of the stuff really is things that we've talked about numerous times because we talked about collectivism and we talked about standpoint. So I didn't spend a lot of time on there because I honestly felt you folks were probably tired of hearing from me. We have one more chapter after this. You have a paper, you have a video that you have to do, and I'm looking forward to both of those. We will have a test at the end of the semester on the chapters we've covered since the midterm. So those that we've already tested on, don't worry about them. I will, well, you'll see me next week. I won't see you. Bye.